apparently, in the case of The Hangover, apparently it was the biggest grossing R-rated movie, to date. Okay, so in the first film,
What does that indicate?
it means, yeah, great, fine. Okay, so the first film, essentially, story was a bunch of people go, to Vegas for a stag date, for a stag do, wake up in the morning, can't remember what they did, have to retrace their footsteps. Okay, this time they go to Bangkok for a wedding, and then they wake up in the morning and they can't remember what they did, so they have to retrace their footsteps. Only the twist is it's in Bangkok. In fact, it says in the press notes, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but what happens in Bangkok can't even be described, which doesn't trip off the tongue.
Not really.
Here's a clip.
I don't get it, man. Well, we each had one beer last night, right? I mean, you too.
Yeah, but I left early, remember? Tracy wasn't feeling well. She came down to get me. Wait a second. Is Teddy with you guys?
Teddy, what? What are you talking about?
He wasn't in his room. They've been looking for him all morning.
Teddy went to Stanford, right?
Yeah, why?
I just found his finger.
What?
I just found his finger, Doc.
Phil, what is going on?
All right. All right. This is what we're gonna do. You tell the girls that we woke up early, went on a fishing trip, okay? And that's where we are.
Right.
All right, stay by the phone.
So essentially what you've got is you've got the same film again, but louder, cruder, swearier, slightly more sort of full on in as much as everything. And one of the things that happens particularly with comedy is when people realize that things aren't funny, they decide that the best way to make them funny is to shout, is to make them louder, is to have more car chases, more explosions, more crashes. So but fundamentally you've got a rehash of The Hangover, which itself was a rehash of Dude, Where's My Car? I mean, that idea about you wake up in the morning, you can't remember where you are, you've got to retrace your footsteps. It's Dude, Where's My Wedding? And so therefore this is effectively Dude, Where's My Wedding Part 2, except essentially Due Date was effectively The Hangover Part 2 anyway, so this is Dude, Where's My Wedding Part 3. And if you look at, honestly, it is like somebody, they could not be bothered to think of anything new other than, I know, it's in Bangkok, boom, boom, that's the joke. So, in the first film, right, they lost the groom. In this film, they've lost the bride's brother. In the first film, the straight guy lost a tooth, got intimate with a prostitute. This one, the straight guy gets a tattoo, which incidentally is currently the subject of a lawsuit, apparently, and gets intimate with a prostitute. The original had a stray tiger, this has got a stray monkey. You've got the guy who's a comedy oriental gangster, he's a comedy oriental gangster again. The point at which I abandoned all hope in the first one was when they did the comedy cameo by Mike Tyson, which was like, no, come on, really. And unbelievably enough, there's been all this stuff about who's the great cameo is going to be in the film this time. At one point, I think people were talking about Mel Gibson, which actually would have been quite funny. But it's like, no, we can't be bothered to be original in any way whatsoever. What you do get is Paul Giamatti, who turns up to pick up the paycheck and has got a look on his face of somebody who just got paid a massive amount of money to do really, really very little, which he knows as well as anybody else is is substandard. So there's two problems with it. Well, three problems. Well, four, in fact. The first problem is that it's not as funny as the first film, and I didn't think the first film was funny anyway. I'm sorry, I know other people did, I didn't. But it's louder and shoutier and swearier and cruder. Second problem is that all the gags from the first film, which apparently some people thought of as original, although they actually weren't original, have been rehashed but done in a much more crass way. And they're not funny. And then you actually have this kind of underlying, it's awful to use this word, but there are philosophical problems with the movie. The philosophical problems being, firstly, it's profoundly racist. It's you go to this other place where basically everyone is either a transvestite or a drug dealer or basically a comedy caricature. And I wonder how this is going to play in territories outside of the American-speaking world, as it's now referred to, in which people say, hang about a minute, is this okay? There's also a rampant strain of homophobia running all the way through the movie. And there's this really sort of strange sense that if something isn't funny, if you just drag it down and debase it enough and shout it and make it crude, vulgar and stupid enough, then somehow it will end up being funny. This is a movie which thinks that the height of comedy is a monkey biting someone's willy. And that's the point at which you could see the script writers high-fiving each other because they'd actually, yeah, that's really funny, right? Okay? It's a monkey and the other thing. So, I sat there watching, and I promise you, I went in with an open mind. I know nobody believes this, but I went in with an open mind thinking, actually, wouldn't it be nice if Hangover 2 was funny? If Hangover actually, managed to make me laugh, even if they're, crass, bawdy laughs, that's not a problem at all. I'm all one for crass, bawdy. In fact, I quite like Dude, Where's My Car? Apparently they were going to make a sequel called Seriously, Dude, Where's My Car? I don't know whether they ever got around to doing that. But I sat there watching Hangover 2 thinking, this is just horrible. It's not just that it's not funny and that it's racist and that it's homophobic and that it's stupid and it's all the jokes that you saw before. It's actually got a deep underlying nastiness about it. Incidentally, the other thing it considers is that all women are either wives who just stand idly by and allow all this stuff to happen, or are characters to be, to be laughed at or ogled at. And there is essentially, it is a film entirely about blokes and this idea of what blokes are like together. And people were talking about date movies and something to take a bit. On every single level, it is a movie to avoid, not only for taking a date to, but for taking yourself to. It's not funny, it's too loud, it's too swear, it's vulgar, crass, stupid, racist, homophobic, and worst of all the jokes that weren't funny the first time round, including the joke that was the least funny the first time round, turns up the second time round, only louder and in Bangkok.